We're live. Welcome to another, I'm sure, excellent episode of Lone Star Legacy, the official podcast of the Lone Star Lore Base. I'm Sam Craven. I'm drinking a Dark and Stormy. I'm joined today by Stu.
Hey, I'm drinking the Bell's Two Hearted. Which is a good IPA if anyone's in the market for one of those.
Ben?
I'm Ben Kendrick, and I'm drinking a Coke Zero.
Nice. I'm Chad Moss, and I'm drinking a Grasshopper. This is
Old
my
school.
Yeah, man. Fresh out of college. So this is my first time being on the podcast. I originally got into Magic back in 7th edition with like the starter deck.
Did you have that CD? That
oh
came
yeah,
with
man.
It? Yeah.
Oh man, I played that thing so much. It was great. I love that. And then I basically played a bunch of kitchen table Magic for years until Asgard Games opened up around Lorwyn and Shards, and I played that till I went to college, and now I'm back in it.
Yep. So our official topic name is shit shooting and general bullshittery. So along those lines, we're going to start with, we just had a vintage tournament yesterday. Had 9 players out to Rudyard's Pub in the Montrose. It's an excellent bar. They had a good burger special going on. We're going to skip top 4 because all of that shit doesn't matter. And we're going to skip straight to 7th place, Fabius Wilson on Channel Lich's Mirror. Chad, I would really like if you could start us off with how ridiculous this deck is.
Okay, so note that Fabius, Sam, and I all work together. And so I know that Fabius was talking about doing a crazy deck for a while, and he was talking about Lich's Mirror and Channel. And I was like, okay, well, what are you going to do with all that mana? It's like, I don't know, man, just like Fireball or Emrakul or something. And so apparently he managed to pull it off yesterday, turn 1 Emrakul.
Yeah, there's a great picture. He's playing against a guy named David London, and he has... we should probably go ahead and explain what Lich's Mirror does real quick. I'm sure we all know it.
In general, I want to see this.
So, Channel, I think most of us know, is it's double green sorcery, and for the rest of the turn, you can pay 1 life and draw a card. Pretty good.
You say draw a card?
Yeah, isn't it?
Sorry, not draw a card.
Yeah.
That's the Ogmon's bargain. You can pay 1 life and get a mana. Lich's Mirror is a 5-mana artifact, which says if you would lose the game, instead shuffle your hand, your graveyard, and all permanents you own into your library. Then draw 7 cards, and your life total becomes 20.
It's pretty cool art too.
Yeah, it's also pretty cool art. So because of this, once you've gotten Channel off, if you've got a Lich's Mirror in play, you can you can produce enough mana that you kill yourself, essentially restart the game, draw 7, and there's a good chance you're going to find another 4 of Lich's Mirror or something that draws or something that goes through your mana. So at one point, I know he looped 4 times. He had something like 40 mana floating, and he put a turn 1 Emrakul onto the stack, and we have this excellent picture of our friend David just looking very nonplussed, I think would be the word. He looks very much like, I was ready for turn 1s. I wasn't ready for turn 1 Gristlebrands. Or sorry, turn 1 Emrakuls. Even better. So one thing I know Fabius mentioned, he just got this list online somewhere. So this is very much out of date. We're going through this, and we're going to make this better. But y'all want to talk a little bit about how ridiculous this thing is?
Yeah, I asked Fabius about it because he had printed off the proxies and left them at work. I was like, hey, man, do you need these? He said, oh, no, I already got it. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm ready. I'm just going to go have some fun. And I had talked with him about ways to abuse Lich's Mirror because I had tried back when it came out in Shards. I was like, this is hilarious. This will be a really great way to just troll some poor kid. And Channel, I feel like, is definitely the perfect way to do it,
Yeah, I mean, and what's better than Channel? It's a very fair Magic card. It should not be banned. It should not be restricted.
Yeah, I mean, all he's playing is, ramp, tutors, Lich's Mirror, Channel.
Ring.
Yeah, I mean he's not playing much else. It's all about getting there, and I think it's hilarious. He also only played 3 cards in his sideboard.
Yes, his 3 cards in his sideboard are 1 Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, 1 Kozilek Butcher of Truth, 1 Emrakul the Aeon's Torn.
Is he living wishing for him or something, or does he have a main deck too?
No, I think he's just shuffling that shit in. He was playing Personal Tutor. I mean, like, let me go through this. He's got Solo Mox and Lotus Petal, 3 Elvish Spirit Guide, 4 Gemstone Mine, 4 City of Brass, 4 Forbidden Orchard because he didn't know about Mana Confluence, a Recall, a Ponder, 3 Street Wraith with no Jataxian Probe, 4 Chromatic Star, 4 Manamorphose, 4 Read the Runes, 4 Pact of Negation, a Duress, a Yogg's Will, 4 Personal Tutor, Mystical, Vampiric, Demonic, Imperial Seal, Demonic Consultation, a Stroke of Genius, Singleton, a Caravex Torch, because he doesn't know, he does not know about the card Banefire, which we have.
I suggested. And he has what? 1 channel for Lich's Mirror?
1 channel for Lich's Mirror. Channel is restricted, but it's not hit by Mental Missteps, so, you know, trade-offs.
Hey, it's a good card then. Sorcery speed. That's how it should be.
Yeah. Yep.
Wait, so did he win any?
He won at least 1 match and also another game, and I know he played against Will, and he lost a match to Will on making the incorrect mana with Chromatic Star. Don't you hate when that happens in Vintage, when you make the wrong mana with Chromatic Star?
So Pact of Negation is interesting in there, because when you hardcast the Emrakul, yeah, okay, you get your extra turn trigger, and then don't you lose on your next upkeep?
So he did not
Emrakul's only in the board.
He did not notice that text because we actually asked him about that, and because like he pacted something, and someone's like, "Okay," he's like, "All right, pass turn." He's like, "All right, you lose."
Yeah,
and Faith's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, did you read the rest of the card?" And he's like, "Oh, that's what makes this card kind of fair."
yeah. Now, if your plan's to hit him with a gigantic Banefire, I think Pact of Negation's.
Yeah, like I actually think Pact of Negation is still fine in this deck.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. Also, if you have a Lich's Mirror out, Pact of Negation is a Time Twister.
That is true.
That Twister
that's
double
funny.
your permanence in.
So yeah, let's discuss general bullshittery decks. If someone wants to show up and just have fun at Vintage with something like Channel Banefire, or in this case, Channel Lich's Mirror, what do y'all like?
Well, how long do they want to play Magic? Because if they don't want to play a long time, the People's Cannon is hilarious.
The People's Cannon is way too good a deck for this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking way more deprived than that. Let's see. I've played some pretty janky fun decks. I played a green-white little kids deck. I've played 2 different red decks, and then Shops, but Shops is not fun.
No.
What do you think about Burn? You get a wheel.
Yeah.
And then either splashing white for balance, which is excellent, or splashing blue for Time Walk, Recall, Time Twister.
Plus Treasure Cruise.
And Treasure Cruise, and I guess you would dig through time.
The double blue might be tough, but I have actually played Burn in Vintage. Unfortunately, it was Legacy Burn because I grabbed the wrong deck.
So if you're porting Burn to Vintage, do you play Lotus? Like, it seems nuts in your opening 7 and okay everywhere else.
Yeah, I would play it. Cut him out and put the Lotus in.
So I feel like the biggest problem that Burn runs into is just that you dump your hand after turn 3, and then you're just top deck, here you go, top deck, here you go, top deck, here you go.
That's why you definitely want to, I think, splash probably blue for Twister and Recall and all that. And,
Well, what
and of
about
course, you can also
Sin
play a wheel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but what about
Well,
Sin
you're
Prodder?
Sin Prodder, that Magic card sounds way too good for this discussion. Hold on, I have to go look up what Sin Prodder does. I've heard of it though, which makes me think it might be.
It's where you want to be in a deck with a whole bunch of 0 and 1 casting cost spells.
Yeah, that's more of a stompy card.
It basically reads mill 1 every turn.
I mean, if you're going to try to port Burn to Vintage, you'd probably just build Blue-Red Delver, right?
Yeah.
Eidolon is sweet, right?
Eidolon's very good. Yeah.
Eidolon is like a
Amazing.
ley line of sanctity against Storm.
How's
So-
has Harsh Mentor been doing anything?
I tried. The answer is no.
There is or was, with MTGO, everything moves a lot faster now. There was a blue-red Delver deck that played Harsh Mentor, and it was, the blue-red Delver deck from before was essentially counter stuff, make dudes swing, and this was a much more like almost like Hate Bears with Delver in it and Force of Wills.
Yeah, that was a cool deck. Never seen that. It had Scab Clan Berserker. Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
The one-sided Eidolon.
yeah.
It's pretty nice. I don't know, man.
I mean, you can always go with classic legacy decks that you just added shit to, like Cephalid Breakfast.
Well, there's a trend lately of people trying out Dragon Stompy in Vintage.
I mean, that Blood Moon's real good against workshops.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is.
You can play it on turn 1.
Although I think it's actually-
especially when you combine it with no rods, they don't have enough mana to cast stuff.
Well, they have
it's
enough mana to
funny.
cast stuff, but they have enough mana to cast one thing instead of 28 things.
In Austin a week or two ago, we had the Eternal Struggle event, which is like our very semi-occasional Vintage series, and
Semi-occasional.
yeah, that's the correct term. I got paired against Dragon Stompy round 1 playing shops, and it was kind of a cakewalk. But maybe that's because I was on like null rod shops. But the pilot also felt like it was a bad matchup for him. So I'm thinking it's probably better against like greedy mana bases.
Well, it's probably also very opener dependent. If they go Shop Mox Golem, your null rod Blood Moon, like Dream
Looks
Man
pretty
doesn't
bad,
do anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the format, doesn't lose to Shopmox Golem, but
Yeah, that's fair.
Oath.
yeah.
Oath if they already put an Oath to play.
Yeah, I think the like main thing that can't port over from Legacy is probably like some of the mid-range decks. Although I guess there are like the bug decks in Vintage, which
The
are pretty
classic
similar.
example was always the countertop decks. Is that the counterbalance top lock is just so much worse in a format where it's like 0, a little bit of 1, and then like 5.
Although you could just like flip a land, right? To
Yeah,
counter the
it's still,
zeros.
it's still like it's so much more varied. Like in Legacy, it's like 60% 1-drops in a deck.
No, I agree. I can see why that would be shitty.
And definitely just the control decks are also much slower. I mean, if you look at, I've been playing the new Topless Miracles deck, and like I can't imagine playing, like even with power, I can't imagine trying to play that deck. Like I guess the fact that you get recall and cruise is good, but like trying to predict someone in Vintage sounds real bad.
Yeah, you
Especially when
probably
you can just get channeled into Emrakul, right?
Yeah, I would love to see somebody bring Fabius's deck or something resembling it to Eternal Weekend, because it would be one of those decks would be like, we need to get this guy on coverage. He's playing Channel Fireball in Vintage. Like
Yeah,
I think
if
I
someone
think if you played it at Eternal Weekend, you would have to play Fireball just so you would be playing Channel Fireball.
well, Ben has an anecdote about Channel Fireball.
Yeah, I lost to a Channel Fireball in Old School event at Grand Prix Houston a couple of years ago, and we were like, "Oh, this is a Channel Fireball event. Let's see if the Channel Fireball wants to like go get a picture of it and tweet it or something." And my opponent, who just Channel Fireballed me, like got up and went and was asking some judges and tournament organizers and stuff, and they didn't even care at all. So.
That's one thing that's so great about this stuff like Eternal Weekend is that it's run by people who love Legacy and Vintage.
Right.
Like I remember when somebody who didn't know about Jaco's proxies was like, "Oh, holy shit, we need to get a picture of his whole deck."
Oh yeah, that deck was beautiful.
Which is funny because I think if you're in the mix online and stuff with Vintage, you're like, "Oh, I've seen all of those cards."
Yeah.
I guess I'm not in the mix because I don't know what those proxies are.
He has, I'm sure you can Google it, but it's a treasure map of all of the power. Like you put it all together.
Oh, I have seen those. Yeah, he was doing a series of posts about old school decks leading up to Vintage, and I think he had those power mixed in there. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So what did you play at the Eternal Struggle? Oh, you just listened.
Yeah, I was on Null Rod Shops, which
Null Rod
is
Shops.
not that interesting. But I played against Dragon Stompy, which was kind of cool. I'd seen people talking about that deck online. I think it like first made a little bit of a splash just as a budget option, and then one of the pilots has like continued to do well with it. I think just because the vintage meta is kind of soft to Blood Moon.
Well, it's essentially a workshop deck that's less good, but has a lot more things that will punish you up front.
Yeah,
you're still playing the Thorns and the Spheres out of workshops.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know what his matchups were for the rest of the day, but I know he went 3-1. Like he lost to me in one of his other matchups. So actually, I remember watching him playing against Mentor, and he beat that. So I don't know what the other two were, though.
Do y'all allow proxies on the Eternal Struggle?
Yep. It's 100% proxy. Their postings they make about it make it sound like they have strict proxy policies about what they allow and what they don't. But
yes, they do. It's like a whole fucking page.
Yeah, but when I actually showed up, no one cared at all. Like, you could play whatever you want to play. So I think they're trying to do them a little more regularly, too. I guess what happened is the guy who used to organize them moved away from Austin, or maybe he quit playing Magic or something. But now someone else is going to try and pick up the ball and do it, like, every month or so. So we'll see.
That'd be cool.
Hopefully it's on our off weeks.
Yeah, I should get in touch with them about it because they're doing it on Sundays. So hopefully there's no overlap.
The reason I was asking if they allow proxies is that's definitely a thing that Vintage, more than any other format, development of the metagame is very much based on costs of things. And so, like, if there's a new version of a deck, it's not going to be $100 to change decks. It's going to be a couple thousand, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really interesting to see things like Dragon Stompy, where it's like this guy decided to play Dragon Stompy. Like, no one made him. Like, it wasn't a problem at Bank of America that caused him to play Dragon Stompy. He was like, no, dude, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to play Dragon Stompy in Vintage.
Oh, yeah. He even brought another deck with him. I forget what it was. I think maybe TPS or something. And he had some really nice proxies. He had, like, blanked a bunch of foils and printed out cool versions of cards. Sort of like who's the guy who plays at your thing who prints out those?
Yeah, for those who haven't seen, if you go through some of our back postings, Will got on Magic Set Editor, and his first set of proxies is in the alternate 8th edition frame, the frame that they tested for 8th edition but didn't use. And his second set of proxies is all in the Future Sight border, including dual lands power. Everything is in Future Sight border.
Yeah, it's awesome. I need to talk to him about how he did that because that's something I would definitely be interested in. But yeah, this guy was doing a similar thing with printing out foil versions of stuff in cool frames. Beyond that, I played against it was either Blue Red or Grixis Painter, which was pretty cool. That was my one loss, which felt bad because I'm playing Null Rod Shops, and like Null Rod should just beat up on Painter pretty easily, but didn't happen.
Null Rod has trouble with Goblin Welder, though.
Yeah, actually, Welder didn't end up being an issue because I revokered it. But Dak was a problem.
Oh, yeah, he's a dick, too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really good.
Damn Dak to me on Sunday.
So let me think. I beat Dragon Stompy, I lost to Welder, and then I beat 5-color humans and Oath. So it was like an interesting meta. It was a pretty broad variety of decks. There were like 3 of us on Shops, but then I think everyone else was playing like unique decks. So it was a solid meta. There were like 14 people all told. I don't know who ended up taking it down. I think maybe Shops did.
So you've actually brought up a point that I wanted to discuss when Chad is on the cast, that also I wanted to post today on the Mana Drain, which is that with having events that are 100% proxy, and then especially a thing that's really, I guess, kind of unique to the way that we've been doing our tournaments, having them so frequently, people are much less incentivized to play things that try to win and more incentivized to play things to have fun. Because if you don't make it this time, you don't have to wait a month, 2, 3 months. And some people play Vintage twice a year. You don't have to wait to try again. So if you go back and look at our past postings, Chad has played 0 decks that I would call tier 1.
Whoa.
Shots fired.
The first time.
But every time,
the
next day, Chad has said that he had fun.
Yeah, you're right. I had fun when I didn't play shops.
Yeah, we had one day that was like 12 people, 7 shops, and that was not the best.
Oh, and then the very next week it was like 12 people, 7 oath decks. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Chad, as the person who plays the most off-kilter decks, how do you come to your decision on which ridiculous deck you're going to build in a given week? I know step 1 is have an unlimited supply of toner.
Yeah, thank you, work. So I know that I look for, I don't know, just interesting decks, and then I think about I don't know, the decks that I've seen before. I figure I'm going to see shops. I figure I'm probably going to end up seeing Merfolk because Ashby always brings Merfolk.
Tim won with Merfolk this week.
Yeah.
So I figure I'll at least see Shops, Oath, and Merfolk, and maybe Eldrazi. So when I think about the different decks that I'll end up playing, I think about that, and I'll usually at least build my sideboard or maybe make like a couple main deck changes accordingly. For example, I was going to bring Rich Shea's As Foretold deck that he played recently.
Like a week ago.
Yeah. I was gonna bring that yesterday, but I couldn't make it because I woke up at 2:30 with a hangover. So,
Nice.
but was one of the cuts that I had made is he was playing like, I don't know, 4 middle misstep main deck, and I swapped like 2 out for like 1 Hercules Recall and like 1 Echoing Truth.
You're talking about basically pre-boarding.
Yeah. And so I'll see stuff like that. Or, for example, right, Stu, you mentioned Blood Moon. I noticed some super greedy mana bases. So I said, all right, we're going to go with a red deck. And I played like the second deck that I played in our vintage tournament was one that had Harsh Mentor in there, and it had Blood Moon, it had Magus.
There was a lot of us drinking margarita discussing that deck a couple days beforehand.
Yeah. Anyway, so I knew that Blood Moon was going to be real good, and so then I played my green-white Little Kids deck, and then I played another red deck again that also had Blood Moon in it, because what do you know? Blood Moon is really good against Death and Taxes, or Eldrazi and Taxes, when they don't play a single waste.
Or like against shops, it's like, sweet, nice $1,000 mountain, brah.
Yeah. So
like
it's super satisfying, especially if I play against, I know like Tim one time was playing some Oath deck, and he didn't have any basics. Okay, great. Everything's a mountain. Like,
you lose.
Yeah.
Congrats. I guess you could draw Moxen, but you probably had no runs.
Vault Key as well.
Yeah.
I think that was my Oath list. So they have basics in that one. That's real weak to Blood Moon.
If he had Vault Key, that's not even an out, right? Because like,
no, that's just unlimited turns.
Yeah, there's no like demonstrable win from having a Vault Key, right?
Oh, I'm assuming if you have an O-Rod down, then, if you have an O-Rod down, Vault Key doesn't work. But I mean, you can make
even if you have the infinite turns with Vault Key, the average Oath deck is probably incapable of winning from there. You either have to put down an Oath and let the other guy have a turn so that you can trigger Oath.
You hard cast Grizzlebrand.
Or you hard cast Grizzlebrand, which you're not doing with an O-Rod in play.
No, well, if you have an O-Rod in play, then Vault Key doesn't work anyway.
That's also the point. So I want to rewind just a little bit, Chad. You said you look for decks, and I find interesting phrasing there. Because I assume you're not like going on MTG Goldfish and finding an undefeated Vintage Daily deck.
No.
So are you like looking at legacy decks, or when you say you look at a deck, you look at a concept someone came up with, or how are you getting to the 60 that you start brainstorming?
So I'll just look for sweet decks, whether it's, I usually don't look at a standard deck because that's a waste of time. But I've even looked at like some modern decks, like, hey, this is a pretty cool deck. What would it take to like build this up to legacy? And then from there, like, what would it take to build up to, vintage? Great example of that was I looked at a deck that Seth, better known as Saffron Olive, played his free win red deck, right? So he took that. It was a modern deck. He had a legacy deck that he posted, and I basically made minimal changes and added like Harsh Mentor in there to get to the vintage version that I played as a second deck when I played in the vintage tournament. So that's a good example.
It sounds like to me essentially what you're saying is you're taking a deck of any kind and you're at least seeing these are the pieces that fit together. Now I can upgrade these pieces. And that's why you can even like you can start with a modern deck. And the immediate parallel that comes to my mind is if I wanted to come up with a vintage Thopter Sword deck, I would probably look at modern where Thopter Sword is better than anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like if I was thinking about playing a Thopter Sword deck, yeah, that would probably be a place that I would start and then build from there.
Thopter Sword and Channel is an infinite attacker combo. Because you gain a life each time.
Oh, yeah, you do.
And it costs a life to make a mana, so you just make an infinite number of Thopters, cast a Time Walk, and kill them. Oh my god, I'm not going to be here for the next Vintage tournament.
3-card combo with one of them being a restricted card?
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
You just play it with a bunch of
Worst problem.
Channel Lich's Mirror won a match this weekend, okay? And that entire
Anything
deck
is possible.
One of.
Chad, as a follow-up question, I'm also wondering, are you hopping decks because you like doing something different every time, or are you doing it because you're trying to find like a deck that speaks to you that you would want to play again?
Yes. No, so I like changing around and just finding a deck that I like building a deck that I know I'm going to enjoy playing. Like in the case of the green white little kids deck, it was great. Like I had 4 Moat, 4 Baneslayer Angel in my sideboard, and I think I was playing against Patrick, and I just sided out. I think it was like 4 Dryad Militant and like 4 whatever the Theros Watchwolf was, and then I brought in Baneslayer and Moat. And I got there at one point. I played it. It was great. It was awesome. It came out of nowhere. No one expected that at all.
So, Shops' out to a Moat is Ballista for 20 and Spine of Ishsaw.
And hang
her back. Okay.
Yeah, hang her back.
Yeah. I mean, they could play Steel Hellkite. No one's really doing that anymore. But
Nick is doing that. Nick did that to his 0. Oh no, Nick won a match against the
Nick's done that. He's had that Hellkite in there for a while. It's really annoying when you're playing Oath.
I remember Ben, you were playing Planeswalker Control for a little bit. And
that deck was great. Me and Sam were bouncing that deck around for a while.
I mean, it was a sweet deck.
I had a guy on get pissed at me about it.
Well, I remember like I was playing Shops against you, and as soon as you made Oath, I had no out. So I did kind of want to play a Hellkite, but I guess in Null Rod Shops that seems kind of shitty because it's just a 6-mana 5/5 flyer.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Nick having the Hellkite. This is a great segue into bullshit decks. I'm just going to selectively read some cards off of his deck registration sheet from this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
First card, 4 Kuldotha Forgemaster. Okay. That's okay. Yeah. Sure. Second card, 4 Metalworker. Also relatively reasonable. 1 Platinum Angel.
Yeah, it looks good. I like it.
When you come off a Forgemaster, I'm fine with that too.
1 Staff of Domination.
Yeah, no, I'm sold.
4 Lightning Greaves, so we can Metalworker immediately. So we can go Workshop Metalworker. So now if we're on the draw, we've got 6 cards in hand. And potentially make 16 mana? No, 12 mana. Because we have 6 cards in hand.
Yeah.
He has definitely turned 1 Hasty Blade Stanley with that before.
Or we could do it off Lotus. So we go Lotus, Sack, Metalworker, tap, reveal 5 artifacts, making 10 mana, play them all, then play our Tolarian Academy.
You need that grease before you can.
This is also.
So he's playing Vintage Metalworker?
Yeah, it's basically mud.
This deck also has Mental Misstep in the sideboard. He also missed every one of his Inventor's Fair triggers when he played against me. But he didn't miss any of his Mana Vault triggers.
Poor guy.
That hurts.
So
No, that's neat.
when I played against him, he went Cavern, Mana Vault, Metalworker, and I went untap, like Mox Land, Decay Metalworker, because that's a fucking threat, right?
Yeah.
The next turn he like untaps, does nothing, strip mine your Cavern of Souls, and just he didn't do. He played 2 more spells the rest of the game. They both cost 0 mana, and I mana drained both of them.
Well done.
And that was very satisfying to be like, nope, I'm mana draining a 0.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
This is a counter spell.
That's my legacy life. I've gone through these motions like many times with Mud. So
My favorite one he got me with, or that happened with that deck. I'm trying to remember the name of this card. I believe the text is players can't draw cards. And at the beginning of each player's draw step, you reveal the top card of your library, and you can cast it that turn without paying its mana cost.
You're talking about fucking Uba Mask, dude.
No, that's not Uba Mask.
Well,
Mask
what you've described is very much like Uba Mask.
No, maybe it's creatures come into play. No, Uba Mask doesn't let you play it without paying the mana cost.
Oh, so you can play it for free?
Yeah. I can't remember what it...
That's a spicy meatball.
Sounds like something in a Kamigawa block, man.
Yeah, it costs like 10 mana or something. So I was playing a
Oh,
Storm
Omniscience.
deck,
Yeah, okay.
and he slammed that thing down on me on like turn 1. And I'm like, okay, I don't think there's any possible way I can do that. But like I wanted to see the rest of his deck, so I played it out. Totally forgot. There's a Tinker Blightsteel package in my deck. And first card I flip off the damn Blightsteel closet. The look on his face was great.
Speaking of spicy meatballs,
Yeah.
if you didn't see, we got real drunk and streamed Vintage Cube the other day. And Ben, what is the spiciest non-pack rat meatball that we played?
Oh.
I'll give you a hint. It's my favorite Planeswalker that isn't playable in Vintage.
Oh, Ashiok.
Oh, God.
Wonderful.
Have you ever played Ashiok Unlimited?
yeah, that's super broken.
So Ashiok's +1 is exile the top 3. So they're starting with 40 cards, drawing 7, so they're at 43 cards. So if you play it on turn 1, it's a 6.5 turn clock. Yeah.
They're at 30.
And we're powered cubes, so they're probably brainstorming or recalling or doing something. It also, like, they're just like, they have Grizzlebrand, you're like, -8, put a Grizzlebrand into play, go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also, go back and don't watch the second half. That part's bad. But we drafted Mono Black Control. First pick, Grim Tutor. Second pick, Hymn to Turok. Third pick, Pack Rat. Possibly the best limited card ever printed.
Third, yeah, come on.
Yeah, it was still like third, and we all like screamed. We were already in Mono Black.
Like, the only other possible things that could be in that pack are like Soul Ring, maybe Lotus. I think I might take Pack Rat over Soul Ring. Yeah, maybe Jit.
I hear Time Vault's a good one too. I haven't played enough Vintage Cube, but
yeah, I could see that because there's so often you just like untap. I don't give a shit. You can have an extra turn.
And people usually tap the or what's it called? Pass the Voltaic key, I guess. So when there's so many tutors, you can just make a quick Vault key deck.
No, I would imagine that Vault is pretty good just as a like play it on turn 2. They go like, so they're on turn 3. They go like land, make a 3/3 go, and you're just like untap, take another turn, guy. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then like 4 turns later, you're like, I have a Grizzlebrand, swing, tap, swing again.
I forget that Time Vault actually functions somewhat as a card, even when.
So yeah, the pro tip is that matters a lot in the stacks matchup.
Yes, it does. It's good in stacks. It's also good against Tangleware.
Yeah, make them fuck that up.
Yep. The other place I've used it is in Old School in Stasis. That one's fun.
So
skip a turn. Next turn you untap, let your Stasis die.
So is it very similar? I would think it's very similar in Old School that like you can untap and let them take the turn because it's like, what are you gonna do? Play 2 Savannah Lions or a Hypnotic Spectre?
Yeah, well that deck's hanging by a thread most of the time. You're at like 3 life and they're sitting there tapped out on creatures. So that was my crappy Stasis deck. I never went better with
I played that keeper deck that got posted to the Mana Drain, and I had two
I
different
wanted
games.
to talk about that. Yeah, that deck looks sweet.
I had 2 different games where I went multiple turns at 1 life. And
Yeah.
there's a maxim that if you had your opponent at 1 life and lost, you fucked up. That's in nicer words, but like it's. I've been playing the Topless Miracles, and like that deck stabilizes at 6, and this deck is like stabilize at 2, no problem, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Deathrite Shaman, eat our Snapcaster Mage.
Against me, he went Black Lotus, Mox, Land, and then he said, "You have 25 guesses what I'm playing," and I just sit there. So I was like, "Oh my god, what the hell is it?" Obnixilis.
Obnixilis, reignited, no comma.
Yep.
Plus, it comes in with 5, +1, lose a life, draw a card, -3,
Destroy a creature.
target creature. Not deal damage to it, not bounce it, just fucking kill it. I don't know what the ultimate is, because those are good enough for me.
Yeah. I did get that game because I went Revoker on the thing, and then you burnt all your cards on that.
And my plan was basically like, I'm going to draw 2 cards a turn. That's my plan.
Yeah. No, it's a reasonable plan.
So yeah, did you have a question about it, Stu? Because I played 4 rounds of it.
No, I'm just trying to Google because there was another sick deck I saw like a few months ago that reminded me of it. I think it was like an updated version of the deck. So
Well, that's exactly what this is very much like Wiseman Control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only complaint was you're sideboarding out easily 6 cards against Workshop, and I would rather just have more of those cards start in the deck. And I was siding out, and I mean, I'm no expert, but I was siding out 3 Thoughtseize, 3 Misstep. That was the start of my side. I'm like, maybe we cut a Thoughtseize, maybe 2 Thoughtseize. I also thought, I had 2 different opponents concede to me with no clear win in play. So I thought adding a Vampiric Tutor to that list would be really nice, just to as one more way to get a win on board quickly, or semi-quickly.
When I was playing that Planeswalker control deck, I was running all 3 black tutors.
Yeah, this is the list that was posted is only running demonic, and it's no mystical, no Merchant Scroll, which you would, because it's essentially Big Blue would be another name for this deck.
Right.
You would expect it would be running max tutors. I mean, it's running 3 mana drains.
Yeah.
I mean, with 3 mana drains, I'm kind of surprised there's not a gifts. By the way, mana drain into Obnixilis, real nice.
Yeah. Now, I'm still a fan of, I was running Sorin Grim Nemesis in there. And
that card was really good in that deck. I had people
the field, and because he's 4 colorless black-white off a mana drain, you can hold up another mana drain after you cast him, and then he just starts.
I had more than one right-click report user after casting Sorin Grim Nemesis.
Really?
Yes. But just people be like, what the fuck? You've just taken a bunch of cards you got in Vintage Masters Draft and thrown in standard cards. I'm like, well, kind of.
So it's saying that I got kicked out of the group chat.
You had 2 users logged in for some fucked up reason.
Oh, did you guys get the link that I just posted?
Yes.
Yep.
So I will also drop this. Oh God, I clicked the wrong thing. I will also drop this in the video chat so everyone else can see this.
Real Shaman.
Yeah, this deck's sweet.
I prefer Mox Monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct nomenclature.
Hey, man, I like the way he divides up the deck here. Broken.
Yeah.
Thought removal. Haymakers.
Yeah, so this is an updated version of the deck that someone played back in March at some event in, I guess, GP Utrecht.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a lot of mana and answers, and it's got winning cards like Sundering Titan and Jace. And
Sundering Titan is sick.
I love Sundering Titan.
Sundering Titan's really dangerous too in a non-shop stack, because I mean, like,
yeah, this seems like
you look at his mana and he's got 1 Trop, 1 Volk, 2 Tundra, 2 Sea.
Oh yeah, he's losing stuff off
Like,
that.
I gotta imagine. I guess he's hoping that he plays Mana Confluence and takes 1 every turn.
You can kind of strategically Sundering Titan to cut off some of the colors.
Yeah.
Like if you name your volcanic island as forest, now you don't have to name.
My first vintage deck was 5 color shops, and I once did the Sundering Titan for 5 lands. I know all about the strategic cutting, but
Well, you can strategically do it to hit your opponent as hard as you can. You can also strategically do it to not
for sure.
yourself very badly.
Well, it's funny too because like if you were doing that in 5-color shops, like I'm assuming you would have been running like chalice and spheres and stuff, so that if you cut your opponent.
I don't think I was running any chalices.
Oh well, if you
because I'm running like Vampiric Tutor. I was running Mystical Tutor, Ancestral Recall, Vampiric Tutor. I can't run a chalice at one.
Ugh, that sounds so gross. But yeah, if you Sundering Titan when you have like spheres out, it doesn't really matter if the land destruction is symmetrical because you're like hitting your opponent's stuff so hard. But if you don't have that,
many of your lands and shops.
Chad, your homework for next Vintage Tournament is to play my 5-color shops deck with the only change. Actually, I was gonna say the only change being that Lodestone is restricted. I'm pretty sure I only played one Lodestone.
No. I'm gonna play the As Foretold deck.
That's wonderful.
Now everyone knows. So pre-board. Also, I don't know who's running that tournament. I'm gonna be really busy that day.
Out the As Foretold deck.
So.
Hey man, I think it's a fun deck to play.
No, I agree.
5 recalls in there, yeah, I'm all about it.
So, not to brag or anything, but I can't make Vintage next time because by the time y'all start round 1, I'll be like 6 beers deep on the beach.
Where are you going?
My family has rented a beach house on Galveston like 35 of the last 40 years. So I'm going to be in Galveston, which is not the best beach in the world or even in Texas, but it is an hour and a half away, and my whole family will be there. So,
how the fuck is it an hour and a half, man? I make that drive in 45 minutes.
The house we get because I have 10 immediate cousins. So the house we get
a fucking 85 bedroom, 85 bathroom.
So the house we have,
mansion.
it's like so you get onto Galveston Island, and then you drive another 45 minutes to get to the house.
Okay.
Yeah. On the plus side, there's no one out there because the only people out there are people who have houses that are fucking gigantic and they never go.
This sounds like a cult meeting to me.
I feel like I could maybe this will be my homework for that weekend is I'll write a short story about how it's actually a cult. When I say a short story, it will be an overly verbose The Mana Drain post.
Yeah.
Good. We need more shit posting.
Hey, my last overly verbose Mana Drain post was quite good, I thought.
I wouldn't know. I'm not actually on the Mana Drain.
The community disagreed.
It seemed to me
that's like the tagline.
The guy who got banned 2 days later disagreed. Another guy was like, this shit's too harsh. And everyone else was like, yeah, I'm kind of down with your general vibe.
I got your back in the thread, so.
I mean, that should be like the motto of the Mana Drain. TheManaDrain.com, and the community disagreed.
Hold on, I gotta go change my signature right now.
So you guys did, I guess for listeners who aren't aware, in Houston, they have been doing Vintage every other Sunday for a couple months now.
About 9 months now.
About 9 months? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Well, anyway, you guys have been hosting it for a while at Brash Brewing Company, which is like a brewery there. But this past weekend, you changed venues. You said it was to someplace called Rudyard's.
Yeah, so as my mother used to say when I was a child, and we complained about the temperature, it's hot in Texas in the summer. And Brash has no air conditioning, and we're like, guys, we love you, but we're not sitting here for 5 hours drinking and sweating our asses off.
Yeah, I remember the time when I was up there for that GPT and I met you guys, they were doing that like donut and coffee stout thing. It was so gross in there that morning. I showed up for Legacy so sweaty afterwards.
Quick background on that was they did an event where it was Coffee and Donuts Day with Saturday morning cartoons, and they had coffee stout in a branded mug, and with the mug it was $10 and you got free donuts. And we went a little hard on the margaritas the night before, so I showed up, like got my branded mug, took 2 sips, was like, everyone else finished this beer, I'm going home and taking a nap.
Yeah, you weren't looking too hot.
Oh no, I actually, when I left y'all, I went out to my car, turned the AC all the way up, and just sat there for a solid 2 minutes before driving home.
So is that the real? That's the only reason you guys change venues is just
Yeah.
to get some AC.
We love playing there. They like us. If you haven't been there, for those who haven't heard, one of the things they were doing is they would give us a free crowler for first place. They'd basically just say, hey, take one of the guys that we know, like one of the regulars, like me or Ben or Patrick, and be like, have one of them be like, yeah, this guy won, and they would give you a free crowler. And a crowler is like a 24-ounce can, and they give it to us for free. And it's like, how could we refuse that? But it's too hot. So we went to this place, Rudyard's. It's I don't know how old it is. It's probably 20 plus years though in Montrose. It's an old style English pub. As it turns out, Saturday or Sundays, to try and get people in because it's not football season, it's $9.75 for a cheeseburger, fries, and a beer. Which is you have no problem with that. And talked to the bartender there. She's like, "Oh yeah, until football season starts, y'all can have the whole back room. That's great." So it was a good time. I asked everyone. Everyone seemed to have good feedback. So for at least until I believe Texans kickoff is the second weekend of September. Mm-hmm. Does that sound about right for NFL, Ben?
Yeah. I think like September 5th or something is the first game. That's a Thursday.
So at least until then, we will be playing at Rudyard's. After that, we'll gauge. I would like to go back to Brash as soon as possible. September's probably a little early.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out. There's a number of people in Austin who are excited about Vintage, but as I said, our only organized Vintage is like very sporadic. So I think we'd like to get something a little more frequent going on, but finding a venue to host it is kind of tough. So
we want to do an episode at some point about how we've managed to build such a consistent Vintage community. Mm-hmm. And my thing has really been the whole time, every time someone has a complaint or anything like that, is be the change. It's the way that we really got Vintage started is 2 or 3 of us were like, we're playing Vintage this weekend. You are invited. Not, hey, do you want to play Vintage? Or, hey, we were thinking about playing Vintage. We're playing Vintage. You should come.
Yeah, we had a couple nice 4-man round robin Vintage events.
So we started, the first Vintage we attempted, I think, was in November of last year. And since then, we have missed 2 weekends, one of which was GP Vegas, one of which I believe was Christmas or Mother's Day.
Been doing it longer than November last year.
Maybe even September. We're closing in on a year of attempting. And in that time, we've missed 2 weekends where no one shows up because there's something going on. And I think we've only had 3 tournaments fail to have 8 people. And I think part of it is... like, Ben, you have a very open schedule. We picked the weekend because of your open schedule. It's like, I'm going to show up. You're going to show up. If Patrick's in town, he's going to show up. If Joe's in town, he's going to show up. That's 4 people. We don't need that many more people to fire.
Yeah. Nick almost always shows up when he's in town.
And that's the thing I've talked to you, Stu, about this is if you want to get this going, let us know. Because at the very least, we'll load up Ben's car, and that's 4 people. You only need to bring 4 people.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd definitely be good to have you guys come down in general, like if we want to just do like Saturday Legacy and hang out. But definitely if I can get something set up for a specific weekend, it'd be cool to have you guys come down. And I think having all those extra people would get everyone amped about it. So
I also have no problem with being like, hey guys, Goif Vintage is in Austin this weekend.
That would be cool.
Easy to do.
And it's, if you're not one of, this group, the group that's there all the time that's like, going to crash at your place or whatever. What does the Hampton Inn in Austin cost? $60 a night?
Couldn't tell you, but
I actually know for a fact it's a little more than that. But it's not much. It's a 2.5-hour drive. It's a great city to visit. So I'm sure that at some point we'll just be like, hey guys, Goif Vintage is in Austin. If you don't like it, run your own Vintage.
It's also a whole lot more enticing than like Lake Charles. Because we had those guys come in from Louisiana, and they were actually pretty cool. I don't know if y'all have spoken on it before.
That's we haven't, but there's a group from Lafayette, Louisiana, and I don't know the geography of Louisiana very well, but I know that I'm not driving to fucking Lafayette. And they basically offer, they're like, hey, we'll meet you halfway, Lake Charles. Lake Charles is, 2 hours if you drive slow from here?
Yeah.
Lake Charles that's where the nice casinos are, unless you're going to drive really far in Louisiana. We don't have gambling here in Texas. And they were like, hey, what would it take to get you guys to come and meet us halfway in Lake Charles for they want to do Legacy, and even with proxies, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'll just play Legacy. And the thing I told them was, a trip to Louisiana is much more of a destination than Houston is. And so what I told them was, we need to do it Saturday, like say 1 p.m. So, wake up in Houston, leave at 11, be there, play, and then go spend the night at the casino and drive home the next day. And that's the thing I've tried to do with our vintage. We don't get very many out-of-towners, but if you're coming in from out of town, let us know and we'll try and get something set up. And most of the time that's just like, we'll go to Moon Tower, have some food, have some beers. But I mean, that's better than driving in, playing Magic, and driving out, right?
Well, for listeners who don't know, the Lurgoyfs are like probably 80% Houston based, but there's like currently 3 of us in Austin, and I think the Austin chapter should probably try to expand and recruit new members. So I would think, if we got some of you guys coming down and we threw a good event and had a good time, that might like entice extra people from Austin to get involved in the team. Alternatively, I'd like to get a rival team started, but whatever we can get.
The only reason I'm not like down there every other weekend to play Legacy or Vintage with you guys is just that I don't drive a super reliable car. Like if I had a brand new Honda Civic, I would be down there. You'd be like, "We're thinking about playing Vintage." I'll be there in an hour and a half. It's a 2-hour drive.
Sam, I thought you already had a playset of Delver.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, a 2.5-hour drive is funny because, like, living in Texas, I think that seems like nothing. In other parts of the country, that's not necessarily true. Ben and I are both from Connecticut, and like a 2.5-hour drive there is like going to another state.
Yeah.
So for some people, that's like a bigger commitment. But
for me, a long drive is to the north side of Dallas, which in holiday traffic is 6 hours. That's like a normal size road trip.
Yeah,
is 6 hours. So like in heavy traffic, New Orleans is 8. In light traffic, it's like 4.5.
Yeah. A long drive for me is going to Oxford, Mississippi, which is about 8-9 hours away.
Yeah, I also have a whole rant about how that's like, I would love there to be GPs and SCGs in Houston, and the reason there isn't is all to do with driving distances. But
yeah, no, I think you could probably get a lot of people excited about an Austin event, and I think it'd be easy to do and very like palatable for a lot of people.
Like, I haven't been to Pat's in 3 years now, but I know that, you're going to get 4 people from Houston. That's 5. Now we need 3. I can think of 3 names off the top of my head that would show up. Granted, I haven't been there in 3 years. They all might have moved away, but...
Well, likewise, there's also, as I said, 2 other Goifs in Austin, and if they didn't show up...
Oh, there we go. There's 8.
Yeah, they would be kicked off the team if they don't show up. So... I don't see attendance being a problem. It's just like you said, it's this whole idea of like you be the change you want to see. Basically, I have to like just be motivated and proactive and make it happen.
My suggestion to you, and I guess this is public announcement. This is no longer a suggestion. You're now doing this. Second weekend in August, host Vintage.
All right, I'll write it down.
You got. This is the first weekend in July, so you got lots of time, and. Pretty sure I'm free. Actually, that's DEF CON weekend. I'm definitely free because I cannot take vacation that week.
All right. I'll see what I can do. We're moving into our new apartment like the week before, so that would be pretty ideal if we're all set up. You guys can come crash. But
one other thing I wanted to mention, we are doing, we can now publicly say this, we are doing the Season 1 finale for the Lone Star Lurgoyfs. If you've been following, the big first prize for the Lurgoyfs is we have a playmat that is kind of like the Stanley Cup. You get to write some shit on it, and you have to put the date, the location.
Talking about my playmat again?
What?
Talking about my playmat again?
Oh, no, this is the championship, is possibly you giving it away. So Ben currently...
50-50 based on statistics. So.
Yeah.
Ben currently the Season 1 playmat, where he's gotten Pete Venter's drew on it, Mark Teeden is drawn on it, my signature's on there, Patrick's signature's on there, Sean is on there.
Public service announcement.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Teeden, not Teeden. Apparently everyone knows his name.
Yeah, it's Teeden. It's Teeden.
The final weekend of July, the guys who show up a whole lot to Lone Star or Legacy or to Lone Star Lorgoy Vintage, we will be having a round-robin vintage tournament to determine the final owner of the Season 1 playmat. We will be streaming the whole thing. We will have at least an entire keg of beer. And we will have somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 pounds of ribeye. So tune in, because I'm sure, if nothing else, we will be very entertainingly drunk by the end of the night.
Where are you guys hosting this?
Patrick's house.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so
Can we get some ribs?
if you want to work the smoker, you are welcome. He's got a smoker. I'm sure he would welcome you to make ribs. So yeah, that should be fun to watch. We're gonna guarantee everybody gets to comment at least once. Everybody gets to be on camera at least once. It's gonna be every round. 2 people have the bye. 1 person is commentary. The other person is commentary / beer fetcher.
I'll be sure to bring my Mike Tyson playmat.
Excellent.
Did that happen?
Yes.
Where'd
Yes,
you run into Mike Tyson?
I went to the Field of Dreams in the Forum Shops at Caesar's Palace. I took my RK Post playmat that I got at GP San Antonio. It's the Rick and Morty one. And there I got RK Post, LSV, Eric Froelich, and David Williams to sign it. And then I brought it to GP Vegas, and I got RK Post to sign it again. And I got like a bunch of other people on there. More importantly, I got Mike Tyson to sign it, and it's also an officially certified piece of merchandise from Field of Dreams.
So this might be the most expensive playmat on the surface of the earth.
I also don't know that anyone else has a Mike Tyson signature on a playmat.
I mean,
I'm just wondering, you just ran into Mike Tyson?
Okay.
no,
here,
he went.
let me tell you the story, and we can close with this. So, Ashby and I were at we were in the Forum Shops. We were heading to Casa Fuente, which is right across from the Field of Dreams. Casa Fuente is my favorite cigar bar in Vegas. Definitely top 3 in the world. They have an excellent mojito, by the way. You need to go get one. Anyway, so we went, and there was a guy outside of Field of Dreams, which, in case you didn't know, sells sports memorabilia. And he was advertising about Mike Tyson being there the next day. So Ashby went in, and the dude was like, yeah, you want a signature? It's $180. If you want him on a picture, it's $180, or it's like $200. You know, here's photos that we have. If you want a boxing glove, we'll give you the boxing glove. It's like $250. And Ashby was like, I'll give you $200 cash right now for, the glove with Mike Tyson's signature on it. He went, okay, deal. And so Ashby goes to pay and pulls out his card. And
so he did the I've got cash. Just kidding. You already agreed to this.
Yeah. And then he had it shipped. He had it shipped back. Anyway, so we went the next day to check and make sure everything was good. And I went ahead and paid $180 to get Mike Tyson to sign it. And I brought my playmat. And I was like, yeah, it's just like a giant mouse pad. And the dude was like, what? I was like, no, it's fine. It's just a mouse pad. There's nothing weird on it. It's just like a giant mouse pad thing. You can sign it. The guy was like, okay, fine. And so when I finally get up to the front of the line, right, because Mike Tyson's kind of in this this little like area that's roped off and has like curtains, so you can't like sneak a picture of him. So I pull it out, and the lady's like, "What's this?" And I was like, "It's a giant mouse pad." She's like, "Okay, whatever, man." So we get there, and I'm like, "Oh, Mr. Tyson, thank you so much." And she pulls out my playmat, and he just looks at it, and he's just like, "What the fuck is this?" Like the look on his face was beautiful. Like it was worth $180 alone. I wish I had a photo of just that entire sequence. He was so confused, and he was like, "All right, black Sharpie, silver Sharpie, black Sharpie, okay, black it is." And he signed it, and then he like pushed the playmat away, and I've got a picture with like the playmat just kind of sticking in the photo a little bit, and he's got the Ashby's glove, and we're doing the whole punching thing. It's pretty funny. I'll see if I can post it. Anyway, it was hilarious. It was an excellent experience. It has a sticker on it from Field of Dreams. It's like, this is officially certified merchandise. I have the letter and everything. It's great.
It's definitely in the top 5 most ridiculous GP Vegas stories I've heard, the rest of which are not podcast suitable.
Yeah. Unfortunately, speaking of GP Vegas stories, when Tim was at my table Saturday night, he had some wicked awesome dance moves, and I didn't quite catch all of them on video, unfortunately.
Now, the way you phrased that is like you did catch some of them.
A little bit, a couple seconds here and there. Anyway,
Well,
he's
all right,
elusive.
So I think that is a good way to stop off. I will say, though, it is the 3rd of July. Y'all want to talk about what we're doing tomorrow and how we're celebrating the birth of our great nation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll start.
Mostly, I just want an excuse for Chad to tell what he's doing tomorrow, so he's going last.
Oh, God
All
damn.
right.
Okay, fine.
My wife's friend from Connecticut is in town, and
That's nice.
I guess she's like just found out yesterday she's pregnant, so I guess that's that's a thing. But as part of her trip, she wants to have tacos every day, so I know we're eating tacos tomorrow. And I think there's some tubing on the agenda, but I'm not sure if I'm invited.
Her request is tacos every day, like that wasn't already going to happen.
Exactly, yeah. It
Only once a day?
Is it just you and these
slow weekend
ladies?
There's a third lady who lives here.
Oh,
Yes.
So you and 3 ladies. Okay.
Yep.
No bros?
No bros.
Ooh. All right. Best of
Yep.
luck.
This was my bro time.
Ben,
You're welcome.
what you got?
I don't really have any plans.
Hanging out
I
with
was
the
going
Danes.
to go hike with the dogs, but one of my dogs is in heat, so I'm trying to keep her away from other dogs. So
Ben, I've got
Ben?
a question for you. You live in the middle of fucking nowhere, outside of Loop 610.
I almost live outside of Loop 99.
So, put aside for those who don't know, Houston is so large, we now have 3 loops. Ben almost lives outside the 3rd one. It's like 45 minutes to get to his house from downtown in no traffic.
Yep.
So out there in the sticks where you live, can you shoot off fireworks just in your backyard?
You would totally have a dispute with a neighbor if you did.
No, Ben.
Fucking fascists.
Do it, because I can see it from my
I might
balcony.
be able to. I'd have to look at Fort Bend County rules, but I am not in any city. I am in,
You're in unincorporated territory?
yeah.
You're in the fucking West.
HOA
You
was
settle your fights with gun battles and shots of whiskey?
Yeah, we can do whatever we want out here.
What I'm trying to tell you, Ben, is you need to shoot off bottle rockets so I can see them from my balcony.
So my plan for tomorrow is to cajole Chad into letting me in on his plan for tomorrow.
Okay, my plan for tomorrow is go to work, come home. I've got a 50-piece of Raising Cane's chicken, 40 tortillas, a quart of salsa, a quart of queso, like 80 little individual things of the cane sauce, a handle of Tito's, a handle of JMO, a gallon of orange juice, plenty of mixers. I picked up stuff for grasshoppers. I also have stuff for Irish breakfast shots, which is going to be great.
We also both have to be at work at 9 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Ugh.
Sure.
Everything about this sounds great. Quick question for a friend of mine. Is Raising Cane's better than Chick-fil-A?
Yes.
Ooh, no, this is... Ooh, they're different.
No. Time out. Listen. Raising Cane's chicken strips, right, the chicken tenders, are better than
Yes.
Chick-fil-A chicken
Agreed.
tenders.
Chick-fil-A chicken is not as good. Chick-fil-A Arnold Palmer is way better.
Yes.
And that's a major decision,
You can get a bomber at
which Chad and I don't have to make because we discovered last week that there's a Chick-fil-A across from the Raising Cane's 3/4 of a mile from our office.
It's real good.
There's
That's
also
true
a
here,
Polo
too.
Loco.
Oh, there you go.
The Chick-fil-A right by my
Do the
house
nice
has
fast
a Raising
food.
Cane's next to it. It's weird. Wait, Ben, I didn't get your opinion after that. I hyped up the Chick-fil-A frosted lemonade so much.
Ooh.
Did
Oh,
you
that
like
was
it?
very good. Yeah, it was
good.
good.
In
Yeah,
my
very
opinion,
good.
what you're wanting to do with the Chick-fil-A frosted lemonade is drink like half of it.
Vodka.
And then, no, I wasn't going to say vodka. I was going to say sweet tea vodka.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The sweet tea vodka is where it's at.
I'm supposed to make homemade sweet tea vodka with my dad for the beach, which
Okay.
might result in me just buying sweet tea vodka and pouring it in a jug and telling him I made it.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
sounds like we're all doing it correctly.
Yeah, I can see every single fireworks show from my balcony. So
Chad's
it'll be
place is
nice.
nice. It's not like my fucking hovel. If Chad had a webcam, you could like see the skyline behind him, whereas behind me, you can see a sheet of drywall.
That's a nice piece of drywall. Anyway, fellas, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hop off here.
Peace among worlds, Chad.
Peace among worlds,
All right.
gentlemen. See y'all next week or whatever.
It's been good.
Bye, everybody.